I often wonder what are some of the gifts that we can give each other as human beings in intimate relationship. And I was having an internal conversation with myself the other day, and I was thinking about the masculine posture and particularly the masculine energetic within men. What do men need to give the world? What can we provide the world that's of tremendous value, particularly in intimate relationship, particularly to women in this world? I was thinking, because this is my experience, I'm in an intimate relationship with my beautiful wife, Christine, and she's a female and she's very much a feminine orientated female. And I was also thinking about all my previous relationships, my relationship to my mother, to my grandmother, to the significant women in my life. And whilst there are many gifts, of course, we give each other primarily as human beings, right? There are also very specific gifts that I think are intrinsically linked to the cultural nuances, the historical cultural nuances of our time and the way that we've interacted, the way that we've understood each other, but also the cultural nuances of our present time. And I was thinking, what is a great gift? Just one, because there are many, of course, that we can give each other as humans, but specifically men to women. And that was this range in robustness and resilience. Let me explain. Let me express this. This has been on my heart and mind for some time. So I was thinking about myself, and I was thinking how resilient and robust I am in certain areas of my life. So, for example, I grew up in a volatile, violent family dynamic. And as a result of that, I really experienced this spectrum of being in the world, from hiding in shame and being in such constant fear to being sick and tired of that and then being very outwardly aggressive in the world and mimicking what I experienced in my family dynamic, how my father was towards my mother and even how my mother was towards my father. So I experienced this intense, on the spectrum, right? This hiding and shame and fear, just fear to breathe. I had to be still. It was this freeze or fawn to this fight or flight as a teenager, as a sort of middle teenager, and then into adulthood and early adulthood and so forth, and up to my mid-20s, even beyond, just very aggressive, very hyper protective, right? But as a result of that, and that's not the most important part of this story, but as a result of that, I developed this robustness and resilience in the face of difficulty and challenge, particularly physical challenge, whether it be danger. A few months ago, my wife and I were hiking in the mountains, and we literally came face to face with a bear, maybe 6 feet away from us, 7 feet at the most. And I was just super calm, super relaxed. I was talking to the bear. I did everything that I knew to do if in that situation. And that could have been a very dangerous, physically dangerous situation for us. Luckily, nothing happened, and the bear just walked off. And it was a beautiful experience in reflection. But in that time, I had a great deal, as just one example, I had a great deal of resilience. But here's the interesting thing. Like, I'd be in the kitchen and I'd drop a spoon and I'd go fuck and get frustrated, and I'd just get really frustrated. And this is embedded almost in my nervous system. I'd get frustrated so easily at the most simplest of things. Like if my computer's not working and it's frozen, I would just sit here in frustration and tension. Yet put me in a more highly tensile, real world, so to speak, physical environment that is challenging or even dangerous, and I go calm. Now I understand why all of that happens, but what I was reflecting on is that I only have range in certain areas of challenge in my life. And I started thinking about that. I was like, how resilient really am I if on the spectrum I'm confined to a certain area, i.e. violence on the street, or being in a terrible car accident, or being at the first responder or something at a scene where there's carnage or violence or people hurt, or again, another story, just, when I was younger, I went into a burning house to pull a man out that was drunk as the house started to collapse. So I'm not saying that to impress anyone, because the reality is I get so frustrated at the simplest of things. If I'm putting together some furniture, for example, and it's not going the way that I need it to go, I start swearing and becoming frustrated. I'm not calm. And so that's volatile. That's unpredictable. Now I'm unsafe because I'm volatile and unpredictable, like my father was to me, like my father was to my mother, like my mother was to me, like my mother was to my father. Because I don't carry this range in robustness and resilience when faced with challenge. You know, one of my greatest focuses for my life at the moment is equanimity. To be calm in the face of chaos in all circumstances, whether it's dealing with a loved one passing, whether it's dealing with the complex nature of a government institution, maybe it's something that I need to do for my home, whether it's a tax problem, whatever it may be, you know, whether it's trying to figure out a program on my computer, dealing with a friend that is hurting, whatever it may be, can I meet that chaos, that apparent chaos, with calmness? And I ask you the question as well, as a man or as a human being, where can you be more resilient or more robust in your ability to deal with difficulty and danger? Like, I know elite special forces soldiers that you put them in a war zone and their heart rate is 60 beats per minute. They're relaxed, they're calm, they know exactly what to do. But dealing with their children, when their children need something, some attention from them or love from them, or they're acting up and playing up, they lose their minds. Or to have an emotionally vulnerable, open conversation with their partners, they can't do it. They're shut down. They're in high anxiety. This gift of being robust in the face of danger and difficulty, in being resilient, being robust in being resilient, this is so powerful for us because it makes us as men safer because we're less volatile. We're more quote unquote predictable in the healthy way that we need to be predictable. We can still be mysterious. There's nothing wrong with being mysterious. In fact, that's necessary in relationship, particularly in sacred sexuality, in intimate relationship, and sacred union. We need the mystery. But we need to be predictable in the ways that matter. And if we're losing our shit, and I'll speak for myself, like I'm losing my shit over the simplest things. It's like, yes, my woman can rely on me in certain situations, but can't on others. Therefore, she now has to slipstream into that masculine energetic of leading or taking charge. And that may be uncomfortable for her over a longer period of time, particularly in our dynamic. And then she feels unsafe and unseen. And so one of the greatest gifts that we as men can give the women in our lives, the females in our lives, is that not being volatile, being robust in our ability to deal with difficulty. I love that word equanimity, that calm in the face of chaos. The Stoics were big in this. And they focus on this as a way to navigate the complexity of the world and the complexity of emotion and change, because change is inevitable. And sometimes I don't deal well with change. I deal well with really difficult change, really abrupt, intense, aberrant, violent change, but not with the simple things. And that can be very confusing to the people in our lives that care about us. So they're my thoughts on range and robustness and resilience. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. And as a man, what have you experienced in terms of dealing with that? Have you dealt with any shame around that as well? Have you dealt with any shame? And as a woman on the receiving end of that, do you feel safer when your man, the man in your life, is consistent in how he deals with challenges and difficulty? And is calm across the board, the spectrum of life experience? Love to hear your thoughts. Power and blessings. I'll see you soon.